There's a few questions here. John Bolt, did you kick ball, Shane, when you were younger? Now, this is before Shane McGrath came on, so I do think, yeah, I did play a bit of football, all right. Played up until about under 21. Yeah, and he says it was a genuine question. Yeah, I actually preferred football when I was young to hurling, and I actually preferred soccer to both of them.
I'd be the same. I would have preferred football to hurling. My mother's from Ferban, and she would have me playing football before I played hurling even, yeah. I don't prefer football now anyway, I can tell you that.
Adrian McGrath says, lads, at some point in the Tip Fest, can you address whether Kilkenny hurling culture and hatred of short passing contributed to the inability to make tip run by hitting long 50-50s when the shot was on? So it also kind of felt like they hit the same wide over and over. Yeah. So they'd work the ball up the field to about midfield and then just pop a shot that would go wide on the left side. So if you're looking at the TG Cahir feed, so they're playing to the right and it was wide on the far side. It just felt like that shot happened over and over again. So there was, panic set in on the field. I'm sure that the management team tried to tell the players we need to work the ball short, etc., 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 move Tipperary around and tire them out. But just panic, it just went across the team and they just couldn't find a way to turn it around. They got the late goal and everything to draw a level, but I don't know, they were rattled and susceptible.
They were rattled, and a lot of it comes in now, particularly with young fellas, very little experience, maybe playing with an extra man, or definitely very little experience playing with an extra two. Sometimes you can put more pressure on yourself and we have to win this. And then all of a sudden you start hitting those aimless kind of long ball, as you said, the same type of wide. There'd be a lot of that one will take a while to get over now from a Kilkenny point of view, because it's actually head scratching how they didn't win the game. Do you know what I mean? It really is. Yeah, you have to maximize whatever, but one is somewhat forgivable, two is totally unforgivable, and to play the style they played at times with the two extra men was totally unforgivable too. The one saving grace for the vast majority, I think the bulk of the team, are all underage next year, and they'd only love to try and right that wrong next year, Jake Mullen included. So, and listen, it mightn't necessarily be the worst thing to happen to them at this young kind of stage of their career as well. I'm sure they'll grow for it. I'm sure from a management point of view, they will have every T crossed and every I dotted to make sure that whatever scenario arises in a game over the coming years of any team they're ever involved in, that they'll be prepared for it.
Yeah. And as Richard Hogan says there, hurt drives you on. And, those players will certainly be hugely motivated, as will Niall Bergen going into next year. But the way, and look, I made this point the other day. I kind of make a small bit, the Tipperary-Kilkenny rivalry at times, and I say a few comments to wind them up. But I have nothing but the height of respect, and some of my best friends are from Kilkenny. So it's more so the thing over the years where we're having to crack with each other that it sort of drives me on to niggle just a small bit. But there is a serious point that I've made to you recently on the back of it about Kilkenny probably losing a lot of finals in recent years. And do you remember we had John Myler on before, and he said just over the course of those strikes that Cork started to lose narrow finals, and they've never quite overcome that, and tight games in general. And I was just thinking about it earlier, just saying, that's another final that Kilkenny have lost. And I just said, look, I'll quickly have a little look at the national finals. Obviously, we know they've won loads of Leinster titles in recent years, but I was looking at All-Ireland finals from 2009 to present. They've played 4, lost 3, won 1. Minor finals 2015 to present, played 4, lost 4. League finals 2015 to present, and obviously there was the shared one when there was no final played there 1 year. Played 3, 2 losses, 1 win. Senior finals 2016 to present, played 4, lost 4. So overall, if you're to go with those selected finals, and obviously it's looking at, some recent bad runs, some are different timeframes, but played 15, won 2, lost 13, and even the under 21. That was the year that Cathal O'Neill couldn't play in the final, and there was obviously other players from Galway and Wexford that couldn't play. That is a worrying trend for Kilkenny over, that's a decent sample size there.
Oh, it is a decent sample size. And I'm even thinking of, like I said, the O'Loughlin's cohort within the Kilkenny senior squad. And you think about the amount of, throwing an All-Ireland club final into that mix as well. It's a lot of finals. They've lost their last 4, obviously, at senior. And do you know something, Shane? That maybe feeds into a point about Kilkenny are not supporting their teams like they used to. They definitely are not. The supporters are not talking with their feet like they used to. They will be outnumbered on Saturday in Croke Park. They were outnumbered for the Leinster final. They've been outnumbered for most, for the last 2 All-Ireland finals. It's probably been 2.5 to 1 in favour of Limerick, and that's a fact. That is, and like I've chatted to Eddie about it, and I've chatted to Nicky Brennan about it as well. And like just on their senior team, like I know there's a better team out there at the minute, and Limerick are kind of all conquering or whatever. But surely the Kilkenny senior squad, for the resilience that they've shown and winning 5 in a row in Leinster and just keep coming back, they deserve to be better supported than they are.
So what games are you talking about? I remember you mentioning one of the group games in Leinster this year for sure.
Was it Antrim? I don't think it was. That was just very, very poorly attended. Carlow was very, very poorly attended as well. They were definitely outnumbered up in Parnell Park when they played the Dubs. That's okay, but were they probably outnumbered down in Nolan Park the other night for an under-20 final? It wouldn't have been far off. I guarantee you go to Croke Park on Saturday and it will be at least 2 to 1 from a Clare point of view.
You think it'll be that bad, yeah?
Yeah, no, geez, I do. Yeah, that was the case last year, and it was definitely the case the year before as well, 100%. And it's been the case for the last 2 All-Ireland finals as well. If people aren't coming out supporting, the marquee team in what is like the semi-final, the second biggest game of the year, and the All-Ireland, the biggest game of the year, then you have a bit of a problem.
Because it was a big problem for Tipperary this year. Certainly, well, probably at the senior level for sure. But like, look at the under-20 final. You certainly outnumbered us by many multiples. And the Cork game at home in the Munster Championship was, that was grim in terms of how outnumbered Tipperary were. But yeah, like I don't think Tipperary would have gotten over the line if the crowd wasn't as raucous as it was the other day. And I know the Tip supporters had a lot to get behind during that game because, what we saw is, I don't think I've ever seen a more defiant win in the history of GA. Now, you can accuse me of Tipperary bias if you like, but name something more defiant than what we saw. And I know they're kids, but like name something more defiant. But I do think it was like both county boards made a big push on social media to get the support behind them at that final. It is a little surprising. And look, and I'm saying this from a point of view of a county that's also been struggling with attendances. But yeah, that definitely is a concern. That if some of the big, more traditional counties, as they like to look at themselves, can't attract big crowds for games, that's worry for the game more broadly speaking.
Like, what are you waiting for? Like, it's an All-Ireland semi-final at the weekend. It could be their last game of the year. That's the thing. Like, what are they waiting for? I find it very, very strange, because I know, like, if Offaly were in that scenario and year after year after year after year, like, they would bring a massive support. I don't know. The numbers have definitely dropped off massively. I'll put it to you this way: if you're looking for an All-Ireland hurling final ticket this year, and Kilkenny are in it, you will get tickets floating around Kilkenny, 100%. Will you get them floating around Limerick? You'll be very, very lucky, man. And that's just the facts of it.
Yeah, and when I was looking up that Kilkenny thing, I said I'd look up Tipperary as well, and it's actually been relatively good with Tipperary. Like Tipperary, obviously not in the mix at senior level at the moment, but between under 21 and /20 minor league finals and All-Ireland finals, Tip have won 11 of their last 18, and 5 of those losses were in league finals. So in championship finals, you're only looking at 1 under-20 final loss and 1 minor loss. Other than that, it's been very good records in the finals. So I don't know, like people will read into it different ways or whatever. Tipperary feel like they're at a low ebb right now. Maybe that'll change quickly, maybe not. But I definitely just thought it was very striking when I saw the very poor record in finals.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of losses in national finals, and the saving grace, I suppose, is the fact that they've won 5 Leinsters in a row or whatever at senior level, I suppose.